happy Wednesday morning, and we spent our night last night underneath that water tower ahead of us, right about where that TMC flatbed is parked. I had backed into that little gate there, bobtail, and shut down, spent the night there, nice and quiet, even though there's truck traffic coming through. Didn't hear anything. But we are now departing the Menards Holiday City, Ohio distribution center with our empty trailer
to the end of the street,
and starting off our Wednesday running east to, I'm probably going to slaughter the pronunciation of the name, but it's Dowagiac, Michigan. It's spelled Dowagiac or Dowagiac or something. I don't know. It's some Native American spelling, I'm sure. Dowagiac, I think it's called, Michigan. But it's east of here, a little bit north, kind of close to the lake. And I've been there once before. And I think they make plastic parts or plastic containers or something. I can't recall. Something plastic. But we are to drop this empty, pick up that loaded, and then we're going to run that out to Iowa. Again, I don't recall the name of the town, but somewhere out in Iowa. We'll figure it out when we get there, but it is starting off to be a nice looking day. A little hazy, of course, because all the Canadian smoke, but hey, it's all right. We'll take it. More later. So clearly everybody knows that when you drive a truck for a living, you spend a lot of time on interstate highways, big highways, huge highways, big open roads, all that good stuff. But what you also do is you spend a whole heck of a lot of time, oftentimes, on these smaller rural country roads all throughout America. And right now we are in Michigan. We just crossed over from Indiana into Michigan. And we are on Michigan, or actually US 12 in Michigan. And this is very typical of US highways and state highways that meander through a lot of truly gorgeous countryside. And certainly Michigan is right up there with the best of them as far as beautiful landscapes are concerned. But this little drive from the toll road up to our customer in a very small little town here in Michigan, it's absolutely beautiful. So I'm just going to let the cameras just roll. I might speed it up. Maybe I'll put some music to it. I don't know, but I'm just going to let the cameras roll. Well, so much for that nice weather earlier. Now my phone is lighting up every 2 seconds about a radar app I have on the phone about severe weather, severe thunderstorms, take cover, all of this stuff. So we will see. I've got the radar up on my phone, and I'm just kind of keeping an eye on that. Looks like there's quite a big storm moving over the lake right now, and I think we just skirted down underneath Lake Michigan just in time to miss that storm landing on the Michigan side. I think we're going to be getting right underneath it, so we're looking out because that is looking ugly. So, a lot of weather we're having.
A lot of boring math later.
Is there anything quite as beautiful as Gary, Indiana in a driving rainstorm? I certainly don't think so. All right, well, it is time for our mandatory DOT break, because when you have a day that is nothing but driving like I do today, well, I had a little bit of downtime, or on duty, not driving, just hooking up, getting my shipment, basically, dropping the empty, picking up the loaded, you know. But most of my day is going to be driving, which means I'm going to be bumping up onto my 11-hour clock, my drive clock, and not my 14-hour clock, my duty clock. I'm going to run out of the 11 before the 14 is what that means. So, that being the case, we also have a mandatory DOT break that we have to take of a half an hour, and that can be either on or off duty. You just can't be driving for a half an hour, and you have to do that once in every 8 hours. Yeah, if hours weren't complicated enough, I don't ask me. Anyway, that's the law, and we follow the law. So what I usually do on a drive day like this, where I'm going to be doing mostly driving, is I try to plan my shower at the same time as my 30-minute break. So what I do is I wait until I have at least 8 hours on my drive clock or less. So until my drive clock hits 8 hours or under, I don't stop. I just drive. Once my drive clock is below 8 hours, so right now I've got 5 hours left on my drive clock. Perfect time. So now I'm going to stop and take that mandatory break that I need to take in that first 8 hours of my day. And I'm going to take it now, take a shower. And the reason why I don't do that until I have my drive clock is down to 8 hours is because if you take it before that, you'll end up having to take another 30-minute break, 8 hours from now, because you'll still have drive time left in 8 hours, so you're going to have to take another break. So, I know it's confusing as hell. Drivers that are watching, you get it immediately, right? We're used to this shit. But for non-drivers or brand new drivers, I know it can make your head spin. It does at first, because none of it seems to make much of any sense. But again, it's the law, and we follow the law, right? So, I am just doing the easiest possible space I can because, yes, I am feeling lazy, and whenever I see a truck stop with this much space in it, I take advantage of it. Call me the pull-through queen, that's fine, I don't give a shit. I'm not here to impress anybody. I'm just here to spread love, joy, and happiness, and maybe a little bit of my experience along the way, that's all. I don't need to be a super trucker, never claim to be, never will claim to be. So, excuse me, not used to talking. We have landed, time for a shower. Well, before I forget, I thought I would throw another little tidbit out there for some of the new drivers, or even some of the experienced drivers that may not know or may not have thought about it. But I remember watching, of all things, I watched a YouTube video, and I cannot for the life of me remember whose channel it was, because I watched so many of them before I got my CDL and before I got into trucking. And there was one video that really stuck with me, and I want to say it was one of the guys that I had followed, because I also followed some female truck drivers that were and are actually quite good drivers. But this, I think it was a guy, if I remember it right, and he was somewhere in the Plains states, so somewhere out in the wide open. And what triggered the memory was all the storms that I've been kind of driving through, and then they clear up and more, and then they clear up and more, all day today. And it reminded me of that video, and it was really quite an amazing thing that he had captured on video. He had pulled into a truck stop, and it was some raging, like, thunderstorm of some sort. It was in summer, I remember that. And he had pulled alongside another truck, and he had gone inside the building, and he and this other driver were watching their trucks, and they were both going, holy crap, look at that, because the wind was actually pushing their trailers sideways. It was like dragging their trailers, and it didn't flip either truck. But I remember on this video, you could see very clearly the wind catching these trailers and literally pushing them sideways, like, you know, they were attached to the tractor, so they kind of swung out, but they didn't tip. And he then went on to say that when he had pulled in, because he wanted to park because the storm was so bad, it was blowing him all over the place. So he pulled in and he parked, and when he got out of his truck to go inside the building, the guy who he parked next to stopped him. And he was an old timer. He was, you know, some guy who had been driving for like 30-something years. And this was a young guy, I remember that much. He was a younger guy. And this old timer told him, dude, before you run in, crank your landing gear down. It'll stabilize your trailer, it'll keep it from tipping. So he cranked the landing gear down. And what you saw on the video was two empty trailers, both of which had their landing gear down while attached to the tractor. And because of that, apparently, it stopped them from blowing over, because without the landing gear down, the trailer can actually be tipped sideways till I think about the 45-degree mark, somewhere around there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's pretty extreme that it can go. And if you've ever seen video of a truck being blown over in like Wyoming or something, you'll see it plain as day that the trailer goes first, and it goes to, I want to say, at least 30, if not 45 degrees. It goes quite far, and then at some point it gets to the end of, you know, the most maximum it can lean, and then it drags the tractor along with it by the kingpin. But by putting the landing gear down, you add a whole bunch of lateral stabilization. So that's it. I just wanted to pass that along for anybody that may not have ever heard of that. Now, I've never tried it. I've never been in that situation yet, thank God. But I'll tell you what, if I ever am, I'm going to do it. You know, whether it helps or not, it's worth a try. And it does seem logical that if you have some additional solid bracing on closer to the outside edges of the trailer, as landing gear are, that it would add quite a bit of stability. So hopefully that helps somebody. And hopefully if I'm ever in that situation, it helps me. But I wanted to put that out there before I forgot. Well, hello there, Cedar Rapids. How the heck are ya? What a beautiful city Cedar Rapids is. I always love coming through here. Really, really pretty town sitting on the water. Probably not going to be able to capture much of it with the cameras, but you'll have to trust me when you glance over from the roadway. You can see all the waterfront stuff. It's really pretty. So they did a very nice job developing their waterfront areas. Cool city. Hi, Cedar Rapids. So here's where it pays to be nice to yard people. Oh, hang on. Nice Romanian guy I was talking to at the gate. Anyhow, this is where it pays to be nice to people. The gate guard, ex-military, and very proud of it, and more power to him. And we sitting there shooting the shit about military stuff. Nice as could be, as usual at Menards. And I'm out of hours, and I'm in the middle of nowhere. So I'm literally in the middle of the cornfields of Iowa. There is nothing around here. So I asked the guy, where the hell can I park? So instead of picking up my loaded trailer right now and being stuck with a trailer attached, he said, hey, go sneak over here to the outer drop yard. Just back in bobtail, nobody will mess with you. Perfect. All right, so here's our little section. It's right off a lake. There's a lake behind these trees. And I'm just gonna squeeze in here right next to XPO Logistics where nobody can disturb us. And I'm gonna have a nice, peaceful rest in the forest again. I am absolutely digging these Menards places. Just great. I had my shower earlier today, so I'm good to go. Just park here in a nice quiet corner and be in the trees. So anyway, that makes for my Wednesday.